good friends and we can do that. By the way, is that story true that your Twitter account was suspended? What's up with that?
Twice in about 48 hours.
What did you do?
There's a liberal group that was but you still can't say radical Islam, and then this leftist group chimed in. Well, he did kill Osama bin Laden to Rob, and obviously this group did not know who Rob was. And when I read it, I was like, oh my God, I just busted up laughing. So I mocked him. I said, did you just tell the guy that shot Osama bin Laden that Barack Hussein Obama killed bin Laden? And I just laughed. And I did say my normal Tanto Ranger self.
The president said on Friday the politics of division and paranoia has found a home in the Republican Party, and they've embraced wild conspiracy theories like those surrounding Benghazi. Well, you were there on September 11th, 2012, and we lost lives that day, and you were given a stand-down order because I've interviewed you enough that you told me, and all of this happened, and then you end up in Germany, and for the first time, you turn on the TV and you hear people lying about what had happened there.
At that point in time, it was sickening, but I turned it off. And I don't think people realize it. They say, well, you just wanted to make a book. You just wanted to... No, actually, I went back and served in Yemen for 8 more months. I went in as my 2-month break, and I went and served again because I figured at that time, and I wasn't into politics, hey, the powers that be will get this figured out. I trust them. They're my leaders, and how wrong I could be, and how I started to see that there was a deep state definitely involved. And over this last 6 years, they still are trying to rewrite history of Benghazi. And that is a slap in the face, not to just the family members, but I would say to myself, the guys that fought, and I watched Tyrone and Glenn die. I was shooting over their heads. They didn't die, and just by being on the ground with me. I was shooting over their heads when they were hit with mortars. I saw those mortars hit. And so to use call it a conspiracy theory and try to rewrite history when I watched them die, and then I helped get their bodies to the airfield, and I also ID'd the ambassador's body who died that night as well. It really offends me, and of course I'm going to get angry.
It was the ambassador Stevens that who had requested numerous times additional security, and it was never forthcoming. That was Hillary Clinton's State Department, and here you are at an annex about a mile away. You know what's going on. You know this is a terror attack, and that's why this whole story, you want to talk about a conspiracy theory, and Susan Rice going on 5 Sunday shows and telling the American people an outright lie.
But based on the best information we have to date, what our assessment is as of the present is in fact what it began spontaneously in Benghazi as a reaction to what had transpired some hours earlier in Cairo, where, of course, as you know, there was a violent protest outside of our embassy sparked by this hateful video. But soon after that spontaneous protest began outside of our consulate in Benghazi, we believe that it looks like extremist elements, individuals joined in that effort with heavy weapons of the sort that are unfortunately readily now available in Libya post-revolution, and that it spun from there into something much, much more violent.
That this was a spontaneous demonstration. It wasn't spontaneous. People don't show up at demonstrations with grenade launchers in their back pocket like they did in this particular case.
Exactly. I mean,
let me bring Sean Parnell.
Hey, Chris, it's great to finally get a chance to meet you on the great Sean Hannity's radio show. It's pretty amazing. And
you too, brother. I thank you for your service. I admire you. You're a hero, my friend.
And likewise, man.
Well, by the way, for those that don't know, and I think it's important, I was going to bring this up. Sean Parnell's Army unit served in Afghanistan, was the subject of the book, the national bestseller called Outlaw Platoon. And it was 9/11, 2001 that inspired you to join the Army to defend this country. And you had, 485-day deployment, 2006 and 7.
Yep.
You're only a single member of your platoon was killed. And since returning home, 3 members of the platoon have taken their own lives. And there's some 250,000+ men because we over-deployed them all.
Right, correct.
And PTSD is real, and these guys are struggling to this day.
Well, I mean, that is why part of the reason why I made the jump into fiction with Man of War. Because, by the way, I have to say, it's surreal to see Man of War on the shelves, on the fiction shelves, right next to Bob Woodward's book. But but I will say that's the reason why I wrote that book, a mainstream fiction story. Who Eric Steele is my hero, but he embodies the greatness of the warrior ethos that Chris, you and I, aspired to. And not only did President Obama, by the way, the commander-in-chief, the first title, he's a commander, a duty and obligation and responsibility, the men and women in uniform, to be there for them when they need it most. And in your most dire moment, Chris, he was not there. And not only that, he lied about it.
How did the personnel react to being told to stand down? They were furious. So the military is told to stand down, not engage in the fight. These are the kind of people willing to engage. Where'd that message come down? Where'd the stand down order come from? I believe it came from either AFRICOM or South Africa.
So how many times did you guys attempt to go help out Ambassador Stevens in this compound that was under enemy attack?
Officially, there was 3. There was actually 2 waits and a stand down. So if you want to say officially, but for 30 minutes we were trying to get out the gate. But if you want to say an actual, hey, we need to go to our leadership, our chief and our team leader. No, you're not going. Wait. All right, we'll wait. There was actually 3 different specific times. 2 were the waits that they got to stand down, and then we finally just said, "The hell with this. We're going, guys. This is when you hear your buddy." And I know Sean's heard this before as well. That radio call, and it doesn't need to be even any expletives. It's just the voice that just put that chills up your spine. And when Alex, the State Department officer who had barricaded himself in the tactical operations center, the conflict, said, "GRF," which was us, we are global response. He said, "GRF, don't get here. We're all gonna have to die." The whole team's like, "To hell with this. We're going." Now, and we knew that if any of us died over there, because we're contractors, we would get no insurance, no life insurance. If we got
unbelievable.
No health insurance, because we would be just.
But you knew your fellow Americans were under fire. You knew that they needed help. You had the ability to help them. You're a mile away. You're the first. You're it. You're the only line of defense they have. Ultimately, you ended up saving dozens of lives in the process.
Yeah, we did.
People that otherwise would have died. You lost people very close to you in that firefight that took the same risk that you did. And then you get to Germany after you've flown out of there, and the next thing you hear is your government lying to you about the whole incident. They made it up.
And still all of us had the test of fortitude to put that aside, at least initially. You can only call SEALs and Rangers and Marines liars for so long before we finally just have had it, which is about 8 months. I'll give you that. That's how long it is, 8 months. And but we still have the test of fortitude to put that aside and still trust our leadership, even though deep down inside, because I've been deploying. At that point, I've been deploying for 10 years. 10 years I've been deploying. Afghanistan, Iraq, Libya, and then also Yemen. But we still have the test of fortitude to put that aside. You know what? They're going to get this right. This is America. They're still our leaders. No matter who's in office, they still have our back. They're going to get this figured out.
Well, that's the problem. They're not showing that we have their back. I will take a break. We'll have more in just a second here as we continue the Sean Hannity Show. Listen.